Welcome to another episode of The Breakdown. Oh boy, we're going to make some heads explode with this episode, and I'm so here for it. A little while back, Danielle Smith decided, hey, you know what would be great? Direct democracy. What if we lowered the bar for having petitions and referendums? What if we just made it easier for wink, wink, nudge, nudge, my friends, the separatists and Dr. Modry to former Dr. Modry to go ahead and do the separatist thing that they want to do. What if I just absolved myself of all of the horrible policies that I don't want to be the face of and instead made referendums so much easier? I don't know, and we'll find out as we go through tonight's conversation, that she necessarily gamed it out all the way because we saw, even with the previous rules that were a high bar to reach, Mr. Thomas Lukasik, former deputy premier of the province of Alberta, stepped forward and said, I am going to stop the separatists with my petition and control the framing of the question. Well, the new rules are in effect, and there's a new petition of the two that have been approved for circulation. And we have the petitionee. I'm not sure. Let's find out of that petition who is joining us tonight to talk about that petition. Very excited to welcome to the show Alicia Taylor. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to spend some time on the petition thing, rest assured. But before we get into that, um, I would like to just, if you wouldn't mind, introducing yourself to the audience. Who is Alicia Taylor?
Alicia is a mother. I have two kids that just graduated from high school and are attending university. Married, a wife, a teacher at Calgary High School, Joan Cardinal Schubert High School. And I also am an active member of the Alberta Teachers Association. I am a district representative for Calgary City.
Did you need to get permission to have this conversation tonight?
Yes.
Oh, that makes my day right there. That alone is perfect. Uh, okay. Um, Petitionee, petitioner, what is the correct terminology?
They're calling me a proponent.
A proponent. Okay, I'm just going to make a quick note of that so I don't repeat my mistake more than once. Um, I mean, let's first of all let's clear the obvious things that I know the trolls and the naysayers are going to say. How much is the ATA paying you to do this, and what did they have to do to convince you to do it?
I'm not getting paid to do this. In fact, it was a surprise to the association when they found out that my application had been approved. I did this completely on my own.
Excellent. So this is not a bargaining tactic or anything like that, because we're recording this right now on October the 13th. Allegedly, the discussions, the contract negotiations will be returning tomorrow on the 14th. I'm sure they'll go great.
I hope so.
I'm sure they will. But this is not a bargaining chip that's been deployed by the ATA, just to get that out of the way, right?
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. What made you decide to put a petition, be the proponent of a petition like this?
A couple of things. First of all, the news of the new rules around citizen initiated petitions. It made it a little more approachable for your average Joe teacher to do this sort of thing. The second was just my concerns about public funds going towards private schools in Alberta.
What do you teach?
I teach chemistry.
Okay, cool. If it was social studies, I was going to do a whole joke about direct democracy and all of that. But um, okay, so yeah, the conversation around the public funding that goes towards private schools, it has been one that has gone on for quite some time in the province of Alberta, probably since we started putting public funds towards private schools. What is it in particular, though? Is it just the fact that the tipping point was reachable with the petition, or was there something more that made you go, you know what? No, now's the time.
I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't really know this was a possibility until it was in the news a few months ago. I didn't know this was a thing that a person could do. So I guess when that news came up, I started thinking about it. I didn't even really know about it before that.
What is the verbiage of the question that you're asking?
Our question is, should the government of Alberta end its current practice of allocating public funds to accredited independent private schools?
And this is an approved question. So it's not like this is a proposed question because there's another group that has a proposed question that is a little bit more complicated and it's stuck up in the courts for a little while. So sad. But this is an approved question. So this thing is going ahead. Is that correct?
That is correct. The chief electoral officer, there was a number of things they had to look at around the question, making sure it was constitutional, making sure that it didn't contradict or or didn't have the same meaning as a petition that was already in the works.
I don't see how that could be confounded with separatism. So that must have been an easy day at the office for the chief electoral officer. Um, Now, here's where there's been some discussion. The talking heads have talked. I guess I might be one of those. But I want to try to explore a little bit with you because one of the things that it has been that has been marched out, and quite frankly, I find kind of a gross way, is the idea of, oh yeah, but the private schools, there's private schools for disabled kids. Why are you going after the disabled kids? And I mean, I go back to the conversation that I just recently had with a boatload of very smarter than me young people, and the solution that they had, I thought was elegant and simple in that they were just, well, why don't you make those specialty disabled schools public schools too? I want to get your thoughts on that. Because there are some kids that have higher needs than what are normally met in um, traditional, and there's room for improvement to be sure, public schools. Do you think that there's like, is it an easy thing for the government to just go, okay, well, yeah, those will be public schools too now, and we'll fund them, I guess?
There's kind of two parts to that question, I think. The first is that I don't think it will be an easy transition, but we absolutely should be supporting those learners in our public school system. So, no, not easy, but we should be doing it.
How much money are we talking about? I mean, there's been numbers bandied around, and I know that one of those students that I just referenced, he had a number that he was trying to say until Mr. Man Baby Tantrum decided to shut off his mic. What kind of volume are we talking about? Like, is this a big amount of money that would be going towards the public system, or is this just not worth it? Because there will be people who make that argument.
Well, in in relation to the whole education budget, it's maybe not a huge amount. It's about $500 million, though, which could make, I think, a big difference. It could be a matter of hiring a bunch of new teachers. It could be providing more EAs for learners that need extra support in the classroom.
Yeah, $500 million, and that's per year, right?
Yes.
So that adds up pretty quick. That's what is your response to, and this is one of the things that I found fascinating watching this sort of conversation unfold, is it seems like there are people who are arguing that, well, if we don't fund these private schools, we're going to lose these private schools. But again, I go back to the conversation that we had with the kids, and they were talking about friends of theirs who were paying upwards of $30,000 a year in tuition. And I find myself going, I believe that the amount of funding that the province puts forward is less than $10,000 per student. I don't have the exact number in my head. And if private schools are only getting 70% of that number, then if you can't get by on $30,000 a year, like I have questions. Um, do you, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, those particular schools, those elite schools, their tuition amounts are so high. I I would guess that the people that want to keep their kids in those schools would be able to afford a little more. I can't speak to every situation, but I think it's a small difference for those families where the funding can make a huge difference in the public system.
What happens next with your petition?
The next steps are to get our chief financial officer approved. The paperwork has been submitted to Elections Alberta, and we're just waiting to hear back from them. The expectation is that we'll have heard from them on Tuesday, October 14th, and then we can begin getting our petitions out for people to sign.
Okay, so you have somebody that you've tagged as a
Yeah.
chief financial officer. They just have to be approved as well.
Yes.
And then rubber hits the road on Wednesday, Tuesday?
Oh, I hope so. The canvassers that will be bringing the petitions around need to have credentials, and so they've many people have already applied for those credentials, and as soon as all the paperwork has gone through, those will be mailed or sent out to them in other ways so that they can begin canvassing.
And I wanted to talk about the numbers and the time frame because there are some political commentators who looked at Mr. Lukasik's petition, which, if I'm correct, had 90 days and required upwards of 300,000, I think maybe 277 signatures to be collected in that time period. And there were political pundits who were like, it can't be done. And it looks like, yes, it can. And I find myself wondering, you know, this is a huge topic of conversation right now, and there's a lot of kids who are out of school. There are a lot of parents who are sort of going like, "What are we doing with the education system? Why don't we have the money to do these basic things and not have 60 kids in a classroom together?" And that's not hyperbole, which blows my mind. Um, eh, how confident are you that you're going to be able to hit? Because you have what, 120 days?
I have 120 days to get around 180,000 signatures. And I am very confident based on the people that have reached out to me already to volunteer, the interest I've gotten from people that want to sign it. I have no doubt that we'll be able to get the number of signatures that we need.
Are you going to be getting some of the because like the I think there's only like a week, 2 weeks left for the Forever Canadian. Are you getting people being like, "Hey, I need a hobby. I would like to come and do this petition now."
It does seem like the civically minded people that were engaged in the Forever Canadian process are interested in this petition as well. However, I have asked them to help support getting the first petition complete before they join our initiative.
Well, that's very generous of you, given that they're under slightly two bigger guns than the ones that your petition will be facing. I'm curious because here's the thing. There's been a lot of people, myself included, at length maybe, who have said, "Where the hell were the NDP in the Forever Canadian petition?" And the response seems to have been, we don't like that Mr. Lukasik very much, or we don't trust him, or something to that effect." And this to me is like there are political parties who have run on this idea. Um, it's been a little while, but it doesn't seem like it's a huge reach. Have you heard from anybody in any political parties who have said, "Hey, we want to help"?
I haven't heard from anybody that is interested in any of the political parties yet.
Would you take their help?
I would consider it. I haven't thought that through yet.
Fair enough.
But
Um,
other parties have been in power and haven't taken away the funding from private schools either. So um, maybe that's not part of their mandate. I'm not sure.
have any municipal candidates reached out? Because we saw this with the Forever Canadian, where there were lots of municipal candidates in the upcoming municipal elections, and oh, there's my next question. Have there been any municipal candidates who have reached out and said that they'd like to take this up?
some school board trustees have reached out to me. They were interested in getting involved for sure.
You got ahead of my question. 'Cause that's the next thing. Like it certainly would be something that I would think that most public school trustee candidates should be able to take a position on before the municipal election. That would seem to be something that might be relevant to their various portfolios. Would this affect the Catholic school district?
No, the Catholic school district is a public school district, so it wouldn't be affected by this petition.
I'm just working my way down my list of clarifying questions that I had prepared while getting excited about other things. Um, so you're confident. Um, what like I guess I'm so the core of the question is what is the outcome that you'd like to see? Because my understanding with the petition process is there's two choices. The House can put it to the legislature can put it to a vote, or they can push it to a referendum.
Mhm.
And that's to me like I can see the UCP saying, "Oh, we'll do this one in a vote, thank you." Well, we control the majority of the legislature because, boy, we don't want to have to put this one to a referendum because it could cause us some big problems. Um, what are your thoughts on that?
It's concerning to me. One of the reasons I brought this forward, though, is I believe that many of the people in this province don't understand that they are funding private schools. And so I would say that that is a win to bring that issue to the forefront. Ultimately, I do want this to be a decision made by voters. And so I would hope that if we get the number of signatures required, that it would be in the government's interest to put that on the ballot. I
Where do,
hope.
well, I mean, it's not like we live in a province that's actively threatening to use the notwithstanding clause on like four different things. So, they're very reasonable government we have these days. Um, what are your where do people go? Let's get to that part. Where do people go who if they want to learn more about the petition, if they want to be more engaged with it, maybe even become signature collector peoples, proponents, if you will, where do they go for that information?
They can go to our website. It's info. Oh, wait, hang on. They can go to our website, abfundspublicschools.ca.
Okay. And I know that you have, I think you were alluding to it, an email address that can be people can contact as well.
Yeah, you can reach out to me, info@abfundspublicschools.ca.
Now, I hope you're not doing the infrastructure back end by yourself because I can see a universe where um, you're going to get crushed in email requests, where people are going to, oh, I really would like to be a part of this. And you open up your inbox one morning with your morning cup of coffee, and all of a sudden there's 1,000 emails that demand your attention. Do you have a team that's helping you with this?
I'm working on getting a team in place. So far, it's just me, and it's challenging, but very exciting to see how many people are wanting to get involved.
Well, and apparently you have a CFO, baby.
Yes, I have a
Fingers
CFO.
What do you want people to know about the petition? Like, what are the things that you want people to hear to help get them fired up? Like one of the things that I think is challenging with any sort of political endeavor, and I think this would qualify as a political endeavor. One of the things that's challenging is sort of defining that return on investment. Why is this something that I should care about? And $500 million is a very big amount of money, but it's so big that it's almost abstract. So is there are there any other messages or particular messages that you want people to hear to help them understand why this is so important to you and why it should be important to them?
Uh, well, I want to just highlight that we have the lowest funding per student in Alberta in the whole country. And public school students have the highest rate of funding in the whole country in Alberta. And so I mean, it's just not fair.
You say, I just want to jump in because I think you might have misspoken.
Did
Um,
I do that again?
Private
Because I
school.
do that sometimes. I
That's
say the
okay.
wrong one.
But let me run back what you said just to make sure. Um, Public schools have the lowest funding in the entire country, and private schools have the highest funding in the entire country. Is that right?
That is what I meant to say.
Perfect. Good. I just wanted to make sure because I am thorough.
Okay. Should I say it again?
Oh, I think we're good from there. Well, I'm having fun with this. Um, okay, so the funding disparity is
Yes,
a big issue.
the funding disparity is an issue. Um, I think that a misconception may be that as soon as if this were to pass, and then our public schools would be overrun with all the students coming from the private schools. I don't know that that's true. I don't know that most of those students would suddenly want to make the choice to leave the school they are used to and go to a public school. And so I don't think that we need to be afraid of that. Ultimately, I think an influx of potential funding to the public school system would be beneficial to more people. Um, that's all I got right now.
Okay. What do you say to, because like one of the things that inevitably comes up during these discussions about the public school funding or school board trustees or any of those things, I don't have a kid in the public school system. Why should I care?
Well, the reason that you should care is you want um, citizens in your province that are well educated. You want citizens in your province that have attended schools with a diverse population so that they are well-rounded humans. You want to be living your life around good citizens that have know how to work with all different types of folks.
That's a much more eloquent version than mine. I tend to go with that because you're going to get stuck in the grocery line with them anyways. And if they're dicks, you're going to have to deal with that. So yours was a much more diplomatic approach to things. Um, what else do you want people to know?
Well, I mean, I want people to know that we're looking for support. We will need a certain amount of financial support to get this initiative going. We need something like 16,000 pieces of paper that we're going to be collecting and needing to deliver all at once. And so it is quite a daunting task. And so if people are wanting to help, that they can reach out to our website.
It occurs to me, especially coming off of the heels of the last episode with all of the students, I know that for the canvassers, which are the people that are collecting signatures, they have to be uh, grown adults and all of that kind of stuff. But is there a pathway for if there are students who are currently in the education system? Because the kids these days, they know the social medias very, very well. And the traction that the episode with the students got speaks to that. But are there, like, are you open to having students help with the social media piece or other logistical pieces or making sure that if students are having rallies or that kind of thing that AB Funds Public Schools is invited to those sort of things. Is that something that you're open to?
Absolutely. Yeah, they should reach out.
Okay, so there you go, kids. Make sure that you send Alicia that an email so that because I don't know about you, Alicia, but like I'm I'm too old for TikTok. Like I just can't create compelling content on the TikTok. It's not my jam. I have tried and embarrassed myself in the process. But kids these days, they know all about the TikToks and the gram.
I'm I was pretty excited the other day to show my children 18 and 20 that I they made a TikTok about me. Someone made a TikTok about me, and I was very excited about it. It was so cool.
See? There you go. Kids these days, they're very good at this stuff.
Oh, and my children will be canvassing at the Mount Royal University and Calgary and University of Calgary. So they're getting going on that as soon as their applications are approved as well.
Do you think that this is going to be a piece where we see more and more of these things? Because, like, the politics of it to me are fascinating because this is one of those things where, I think that Danny didn't, again, like I said in the introduction, I don't know that she really thought this through. And there's a lot of issues that, it's going to take longer than if we had a government that just acted in the best interest of the people of the province. Um, but there's a lot of issues that can be moved to the forefront potentially. I can imagine a petition about renewable energy and revoking the blackout spots that Danny created in all of the places where renewable energy would go best. There's all sorts of different things that I can see the people taking forward. And now that you've got 120 days and the 177,000 signatures, I find myself wondering, like, do you think that do you think this is going to be something that Danny regrets?
I'm just thinking about like for my initiative alone, I'm trying to get at least 2,000 people to be canvassers. Each of those canvassers need to have a, a form approved. They need to have credentials. All of these things are costing a certain amount of money. And so if there are a lot of these types of initiatives coming out, which I highly encourage if you want to get something that you care about um, on the forefront of people's minds. It's going to be a lot of resources that are going towards this when it could just save us some money if our elected officials would just listen to us.
There's the line right there. The other thing I'm curious about, I mean, you kind of set me up for it, so I'm going to run with it. Has anybody reached out to you yet? As because I can see a market for this where people are going to very quickly go, "Oh, you know what? You know what you should do? You should hire me." And what I'll do is I'll help with all of the organization, and I've got this database of people who have said that they want to be canvassers or people who are politically engaged or however you want to phrase it. I know that all of the information that makes up the petitions is carefully guarded and private and can't be used for those things. But if you were to build a basic database of here's the people who want to do things, um, I can imagine somebody would be able to make quite a bit of money as a consultant or a strategist on something like that. Has anybody reached out to you with that sort of infrastructure offer?
Not exactly. I have spoken to certain organizations that support public schools, and they have um, suggested some supports that would make it easier for me to run this initiative. I have talked with Thomas Lukaszuk about the Forever Canadian petition and got some insight from him about what went well with his initiative and what he wished he would have done differently. I'm not sure that I want to do exactly the same things that his petition had done or the that his group had done. I'm blessed with a little more time and a lot of people that are really engaged in the idea of supporting public schools right now. And so I think this will look a little different, but of course, I'm looking for help and I'm taking all the suggestions from people that know more than I do about this type of thing.
It will probably be a little bit too cold for an RV.
Yeah.
Um, the last thing that I wanted to sort of get your thoughts on is this is not the first petition attempt, nor is the Forever Canadian the first high-profile petition attempt that we've seen in the province. We saw a recall attempt in Calgary where there was an individual who started up a recall Mayor Gondek petition. It seems like he said, as to avoid being sued, It seems like that individual very quickly lost control of it. And I'm curious if you've put any thought into, or if you have any safeguards to make sure that this isn't co-opted and this isn't turned into something else other than what you intended to be.
A couple of thoughts with that. The first is that I do have people reaching out to me with different initiatives of their own in mind, and they're trying to um, kind of work in collaboration with me. I do want this initiative to stand on its own, though. I'm coming out ahead potentially of some other initiatives that people have in mind. I don't want them to necessarily be considered all or nothing. I want this to be considered separately. And so I am trying to stay separate from those other initiatives and the people that have reached out to me about them. What was the rest of that question?
Just what the how are you going to make sure that, like, one of the things that I can imagine may have happened in previous campaigns without naming any of them, again,
Yes.
to avoid being sued, is that people came in with big promises about what they were going to be able to accomplish, and then they could have theoretically wrested control away from the original proponent of the idea. Um, do you have any safeguards in place? Do you have a big dog? How are you going to keep the bad people away?
I'm just trying to rely on people that I trust to be on in my inner working group and kind of fanning out from there, hoping to keep good people that really care about public education um, involved.
Okay. Once again, the website is, just to make sure I got it right, abfundspublicschools.ca.
That's correct.
And what
Yes.
was the email address again?
Info at abfundspublicschools.ca.
So if you know the email address, you've got the web.
Yeah.
I'll probably put that on the screen. Um, is there anything else you want to say? Is there anything else you want people to know?
I just want everyone to know that, oh gosh, I think I had more to say and I lost it, Nate.
That's okay. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. I know that I can tell that right now you're kind of like, oh, I'm speaking a little awkwardly. But I think that actually goes to the the motivation. I mean, this is not a Thomas Lukasik is a polished public figure. He's a polished public speaker. And I think that's one of the reasons why some people looked at his motivations and went, "Oh, he's just doing it to build his profile." And I think that what's coming through for me is the sincerity with which you're approaching this, and it that's all it is. And I think that that's a really good thing. So please don't beat yourself up or whatever, because
Okay.
it's important that people see that this isn't a self-aggrand. And I'm not saying Thomas's petition is a self-aggrandizing. I don't think it is. I had him on stage at the live event in Edmonton, and I signed his there. So
Mhm.
that's neither here nor there. But I think that the sincerity really shines through, and I appreciate and respect that.
I guess that's something that I would like people to know is just a teacher. I guess I shouldn't say I'm just a teacher,
No,
but I'm a teacher and I just really care about public education. And that's really what inspired me to take these steps. And I'm quickly learning that I've taken on a big, big job in doing this.
that's why you need help. That's why you need people to step up and show some support. And I think it's great that you're already getting that. I have one last question for you.
Okay.
Actually, two. This is also not. I mean, I was giving the NDP a hard time about not taking positions on anything because it seems like that's kind of become their brand. But this is not something that's been organized or anything like that. Like the ND, you don't have Nenchi whispering in your ear, going, "Do it, Alicia, do it."
No, nothing like that.
I gotta work on a Nenshi voice. I just realized that. My last question. Um, is there somebody who has been like when do you get to start collecting petitions? Is it like right after the CFO is like signatures? Is it right after the CFO is appointed? So theoretically as soon as Wednesday?
Yeah, as soon as the CFO is appointed, then the elect Alberta elections will be able to start processing the canvasser applications and sending out credentials to them. And then it could be as early as this week.
Okay. Well, I have
Yeah.
a question for you then. I have a follow-up. Um, would it be possible to have a representative from AB Funds Public Schools available on October 25th?
Yes.
Excellent, because I would like to officially extend an invitation. The Breakdown's doing a live show in Calgary, and I would like to extend an official invitation to have a space for you where you can have, if people want to come and they want to ask questions about being a canvasser, if you're at the point where you're able to collect signatures, where all of that can happen. So this is where you have to email me after and just confirm, or you can say yes now.
I'll just say yes now.
Perfect. There you
Yay.
go. So go to the website, send the email, come to the show on the 25th, all of the different ways, and there will be more. And
Yes, for sure.
perfect. And I will probably put you on stage there as well, just for
Yeah.
there you go. And you'll Stephanie Clements, the ATA Big Deal for Calgary.
Yeah,
She's going to be there too.
I
So
saw that. That's exciting.
I'm super it's such a good panel.
Yes.
I haven't, there's two more names that I haven't dropped yet, but by the time I drop this episode, I will. So I can say now that we've got Stephanie
Hmm.
Clements, president for the ATA local numbers in Calgary.
38.
There we go. We
Mhm.
have Dr. Dwayne Bratt, who is a political scientist and a friend of the show. And we have constitutional and health lawyer and scholar and professor, Dr. Lorian Hardcastle, who's going to be joining us as well. I'm trying to build the whole thing so it's like a ramp up to the legislative session. And there's a fourth guest that's going to be coming that I'm very, very excited about for a whole list of different reasons. I think that they're going to be such an important voice to have present there. So I'm really excited about that. I'm not going to reveal that one yet. And might get you on stage for a minute or two too. So, Alicia, thank you so much for taking the time to chat tonight. One last chance. Anything else you want people to know? Anything else you want people to hear?
Just thanks in advance for all the support for the initiative. It's going to be a wild ride.
Of that, there is no doubt. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat tonight.
Thank you.
And that's it for another episode of The Breakdown. As always, if you appreciate the kind of content that we're trying to produce here, we would love nothing more than if you thought about signing up to be one of our Patreon sponsors at www.patreon.com/thebreakdownab, where for just the price of a fancy cup of coffee a month, you can help us continue to produce this kind of content. Whether you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, in which case maybe leave a review and a rating, or whether you're watching it on one of our streaming platforms, we want to say a big thank you to everybody who is part of the Breakdowns audience. And as always, take care of each other and keep the conversation going.